Miss Tengri.
The Raven's heir. Soon as one of them's caught, another one takes his place. Hey, Harold, have you read this? Harold? 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 You hear me? This is no time for fun and games.
Calm down. I'm a copper. We're on the same side.
A copper? What are you doing here? And where's Harold?
Harold? Well, there's another guard back there unconscious. That's probably him. The Eye of the Sphinx. Where is it?
It's there.
Oh, good. Then he hasn't got it yet.
You mean the Raven's heir?
Shh! Turn it off. He's gonna steal the eye.
But how do you know?
Doesn't matter. All that matters is that we catch him. Do you understand?
Yeah, but...
Do you understand? You and me, mate. We'll be heroes. All right, now, we just have to...
What?
Halt! Stop! You're under arrest!
Hands up!
I don't have time to play. I'm on duty.
Haha, you're funny. But you don't look like a real cop. You don't even have a revolver.
Why do you need the gun?
It's the Raven. He was gunned down, so now I need a pistol.
Dead birds don't need guns. Nor do live ones.
You don't know who the Raven is, do you? He's the greatest burglar ever. He stole paintings from the Louvre, and those priceless eggs with gold and diamonds and stuff. And Bobby Dobbs says he replaced the crown jewels with rhinestones.
I know who the Raven was. Although, I don't quite buy that bit about the crown jewels. You do know these days there are thieves far more dangerous than your old Raven. 2 days ago, a precious ruby was stolen from the British Museum. There was an explosion. A guard was severely injured.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what the papers say?
You talk too much, Constable.
Zellner, monsieur. Anton Jakob Zellner.
Or did he pull a gun on you?
No, monsieur.
Get a move on.
Inspector Legrand, it's a great honor to work with a celebrity like you.
We appreciate the support of the Swiss police, but it'd be better if you'd remain seated and keep an eye on things.
But monsieur, your journey on this train is most unusual. Is it related to the burglary at the British Museum?
Not in the least.
And the safe? What's that for?
I'll let you know if we need your help, Constable. If you'll excuse me, I'll be in the first freight car at the back of the train for the rest of the trip.
I'm not here to enjoy the beautiful scenery. I am a good observer, and I have finally honed powers of deduction.
Thanks to that?
I watched the people on the platform in Zurich. I know, for example, that man over there is a violinist.
That would be more impressive if there weren't a violin case next to him.
And I believe that the gentleman in the next carriage is a German doctor on his way to Italy to take up a new position.
And what gives you that idea?
There's the rod of Asclepius engraved on his cufflink. And he's carrying a German-Italian dictionary.
Maybe he's just taking a holiday in Italy, following in Goethe's footsteps.
Too much luggage. And no, he's not retiring to Italy either. The suitcases are too shabby for me to believe that he can afford to retire in his late 50s.
All right then, Constable...
Zellner.
Constable Zellner. If you're such a clever fellow, what am I doing on this train?
I think you're guarding something.
Oh, really? And what might it be?
Could it possibly be a jewel that's making a long and perilous journey?
You're guessing. You can't possibly know what's inside the safe.
But if that were the case...
Then I'd ask you why the train wasn't crawling with police.
It's a trap.
You've got a vivid imagination. I'll give you that. Well, that is impressive, I admit. But the fewer people involved, the better. We'll get along fine without you.
You won't.
Won't? Pardonnez-moi.
I can help. And I will help. You're in my country. And I've been ordered to assist you. And that's exactly what I'll do. Whether you like it or not.
Clever and stubborn. Your commitment speaks volumes, Zellner. But this is my show, and I don't need you. Bon voyage.
But how do you know? Oh, hello.
You cheated.
I did what?
I saw you talking to the German doctor on the platform. He told you everything himself, and you were just pretending to put two and two together.
And what of it? Do you know who that is? That's Inspector Nicholas Legrand. You have to impress him if you want to work with him.
I'm going to tell on you.
You'd really tell on me? To the very policeman who shot your dear Raven?
Whoa, it was him?
Mm-hmm. Hunted and killed Europe's most famous burglar. That's how he got his start.
I won't tell him a thing.
I wouldn't either. What's your name again?
Matthew Miller, from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania.
All right, Matthew Miller from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. I have to do my work now.
Everyone calls me Matt. Well, except for my mom. She calls me Matt, as if I were a little kid.
Whether Legrand wants my help or not, I'll keep my eyes open. Maybe I can change his mind. This morning I thought I wouldn't be hungry because of all the excitement. Thankfully, I bought a sandwich with me anyway. the apple core in the sandwich paper. That way I can carry it without making a mess of my trouser pocket. Still, I'd prefer not to have to carry them all day. The napkin came with the croissant I bought at the train station. A guilty pleasure. I don't need that either. Every table has its own wastebasket. Practical. No need to ever leave your seat. Every table... All right. Vicarage in the Mirror, a detective novel by my favorite author, Lady Clarissa Westmacott. For years now, I've been trying to convince my theater group to stage one of her plays. I'll leave it there. I'll pick it up before I get off. The large map shows the different routes of the Orient Express. This train began in Paris and ends in Istanbul as usual. Unfortunately, it will make most of its journey without me. The train covers a distance of more than 3,000 kilometers and stops at a dozen places. In many cities, they entertain the travelers with local specialities and culture and adventure, especially in southeastern Europe. This is the first car. The coal tender should be directly beyond this door, and in front of it, the engine. We Swiss are crazy about trains. We don't just have a lot of railroads. We have the most beautiful ones in the world. The violinist is a good-looking fellow, and he's traveling through the most beautiful mountain landscape in the world. But one can only hope that his violin is better tuned than he. Hello, sir.
Hello.
If I'm not mistaken, you're a violinist.
That's true.
A wonderful instrument. The violin music touches the soul.
That's why I learned to play it.
Do you play in an orchestra?
No, orchestras aren't really part of my world.
A solo violinist. The best soloists travel a great deal and make a pile of money, or so they say.
In that case, I'm probably not one of the best.
Are you traveling to Istanbul non-stop?
No. I'll transfer in Venice to a ship. I'm on my way to Cairo.
Cairo?
I'm performing at the reception in the Egyptian Museum there.
I'm sure your recital will be a great success. But tell me, did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Anything unusual?
Persons acting suspiciously, for instance.
For heaven's sake, is there cause for concern?
Everything is in order, sir. We Swiss are just very cautious people.
I understand. No, I didn't notice anything.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
There could be many reasons for the violinist's shaking hand. Strained nerves, An illness? My money's on alcohol. He wouldn't be the first musician who ruined his career that way. I don't know what more to ask. He hasn't noticed anything suspicious. The violinist is one can only... We Swiss, we don't just have a lot of real...
Would you be so kind as to close the door? I don't want to sit in the dark.
Oh, pardon me.
Very kind of you. Thanks. Oh, pardon me.
No problem. The uniform is waterproof. Mr.
Lucio. Professor Edgar Lucio.
Oh, a professor. Are you a scientist? Do you teach at the Sorbonne?
No, I work at the British Museum in London.
You don't say. So, you were, shall we say, an eyewitness to the burglary 2 days ago?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, no?
There was a lot of commotion, but I didn't really pay much attention to it.
There was a break-in in your museum, and it didn't concern you?
Well, let's just say that nothing that's happened in the last 2,000 years concerns me.
Whatever you say. The famous Inspector Legrand is on this train. I imagine you know him.
No, should I?
You don't know him? And you also don't know what he's doing here?
No. Why should I?
Just a thought. You're a representative of the British Museum. There's a guarded safe on the train.
I'm sorry. I don't know what you're trying to imply. And now, please excuse me.
May I ask where you are going?
Of course. To Venice. I'm going to meet some colleagues there.
Oh, Venice. A beautiful city, or so I'm told.
Indeed. But I really have to take my leave now.
Just one more thing. Did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Here? On the train? No. I can't say that I have. Although I did spend most of the time in my compartment.
I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time, but you do understand, don't you, that what concerns me is the present, and especially the robbery at the museum.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's just, I'm in rather a hurry.
You'll get in touch if you notice anything unusual, won't you, Professor?
Of course, Constable. What's this?
What's the matter, sir?
The door. I can't open it.
Ah, we'll sort it out somehow. The compartment is locked.
But I didn't lock it. I don't even have a key. I asked the steward. He was going to bring me one, but he never came back.
Someone locked it.
Find the steward. He needs to bring me the key immediately.
Calm down, Professor. I'll see what I can do.
You don't understand. I have to get back in my compartment.
All right, just wait here. Perhaps a thoughtful conductor noticed that Professor Lucien wasn't in his compartment and locked it. I need the right key or a proper tool to get the door open. Perhaps you can easily lock the compartment door from inside by turning a little knob.
But I didn't lock it.
Professor, if you had locked the door from in there, you wouldn't be out here.
That's true.
The door is locked. I'm at a loss without a key or a proper tool. I don't believe that... It's no use. The bolt is too short to get a good grip on it. He doesn't make a very balanced impression. And he, of all people, isn't bothered by a robbery in his own museum. Professor Lucien?
Yes? Do you have the key?
Actually, I want it.
Please. I have to go back to my compartment.
The little label on the door reads Baroness von Trebitz. Blue blood on the Orient Express.
Yes, what is it? Whoever that is, James, ask them whether they found my purse and then closed the door. The noise on this train is driving me crazy.
You're missing a purse. Was it stolen?
At the very least, I cannot find it, sir.
It was stolen.
When was the last time the Baroness saw her purse?
What?
In Zurich, on the platform, sir.
I just asked where you last saw your purse.
In Zurich on the platform. James, tell him that I still had it when I got out to stretch my legs.
The Baroness says...
Maybe you lost it there.
What?
The Baroness never loses anything, sir.
I never lose anything.
Very well then. I shall be on the lookout for your purse. If I might ask you a few questions about your fellow passengers.
I thought he was looking for my purse. James, tell him to look for my purse.
The Baroness wishes that you search for her purse.
But couldn't we perhaps... All right. First, the purse. I will have a look around.
Thank you, sir.
I don't believe it. I never thought I'd ever meet you.
Pardon me, but we'd prefer...
It's all right, Miss Miller. I'd like to speak to the inspector.
Unfortunately, just a constable, Lady Westmacott. I'm reading The Vicarage in the Mirror right now, for the 5th time at least.
That's nice, Constable...
Zellner. Anton Jakob Zellner.
This is my companion, Miss Miller.
A pleasure. May I ask what you're doing here? Are you on holiday?
Holiday? Yes, so to speak. The first and last holiday of my life.
Madam?
I've been writing since I was a little girl. It became my job, and now I've stopped. So, this must be a holiday.
You quit writing? Impossible. I have all of your books. Your Detective Partout is my favorite character.
Then I have bad news for you. I killed the old wretch off years ago.
I don't understand.
I'd rather not discuss my work, Constable.
Oh, well, fine. Are you traveling to Istanbul, Lady Westmacott?
No, we are on our way to Venice. From there we will take a ship to Cairo. As you may know, I have a penchant for archaeology. I fund a few excavations in Egypt. I traveled to Egypt by ship as a young woman. And now I'm doing it again as an old woman.
I see. As a writer, you must be very observant. Am I right? I mean, you have to study the behavior of people around you to create the characters in your novels, don't you?
I solved the mystery of human nature a long time ago, Mr. Zellner. Since then, most people just bore me.
Really? I had the impression you were eyeing me suspiciously as I came in.
What do you want to know, Constable?
Did you notice the man who just walked into the next carriage with a cup of tea?
I did. He seemed nervous. He was waiting at the bar for the steward, and since the steward never appeared, he elected to help himself. He took 2 biscuits.
He seems pretty young, but he's already a professor at the British Museum.
Interesting. I'll have to talk to him later. Just out of courtesy, of course.
Of course. Did you notice the blonde man with the violin case?
I certainly did. He introduced himself and tried to make a good impression. People like him are drawn to wealth and fame, like moths to a flame.
But his charms failed on you.
I know him by name. David Kreutzer. He was a drain on my friend's purse.
Do you think he has a money problem?
People like him always have a money problem. No matter how much you give them, they always spend twice as much and complain that they have far too little.
Did you notice anyone else? What about the doctor or the Baroness?
I notice that you've asked me about everyone, except for the inspector who went in the direction of the freight car a few minutes ago. Isn't that the Frenchman who made his name when he caught the Raven?
I wouldn't quite say caught.
Well, shot. Why don't you ask me about him and my theory about what he's doing here?
I don't think we should discuss Inspector Legrand's investigation in public.
Legrand, right. That was his name. Will he save the day again? Or will you, Constable?
There's something else. A passenger's purse has gone missing. I suppose you haven't seen it.
I'm sorry, Constable Zellner. As you know, I only deal with murder, not burglary.
Have you asked my boy yet? Maddie is good at finding things.
I'll go and do that now. As much as I'd like to keep talking, duty calls.
You were right.
Madam?
I did observe you as you came in. You seemed so eager.
It's been a long time since I've had a chance to prove myself, madam.
And this is it? Your chance?
I do hope so.
Then grab it. Even small people can make big changes, as my friend Ronald likes to say.
I shall do my best. I may trouble you once more. A passenger is missing her purse. Perhaps you've seen it.
So, there are thieves on the train.
It's been missing for some time now. Probably since Zurich.
The Swiss don't let go of money easily, do they? Oh, pardon me. No, I haven't seen the purse.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
The violinist is a good-looking fellow, but one can only hope. There could be many reasons my money's on it. The bolt is too short to get a good grip on it. I'm at a loss without a key or a proper tool. He doesn't make a very balanced impression. And he, of all people, isn't bothered by a robbery in his own museum. The steward must have forgotten the toothpicks. Normally he would offer them discreetly after dinner. Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect Lady Westmacott from me, a pushy admirer. Very diligent. But she does seem a little nervous and tense. I imagine she has her work cut out for her with Matt, and a difficult boss from what they say. Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted, but she does. I imagine she has her work cut. An extraordinary woman. Talented, intellectual, extremely rich, and the most successful writer of all time. Yet, they say she can be difficult on occasion, and that she's rather unhappy. Mrs. Miller?
Yes?
The little boy, Matt, he's your son?
Oh, yes. Has he done something?
No, I've already met him. Clever little fellow.
We always call him Professor because he's so precocious. If only someone could just drive the mischief out of him.
Did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Oh, I'm afraid not. I was totally focused on my work.
She's always got an awful lot to do, my Mary.
You have to tell me if that's not all right with you.
Good Lord, child. Knit as much as you want.
So, nothing out of the ordinary?
No, Constable.
Goodbye, Mrs. Miller.
Goodbye, Constable.
Mrs. Miller made... I think it's uncomfortable for her when I talk to her in front of Lady Westmacott. She seems to take it as an inappropriate distraction from her work, although she's just knitting. Taking up a craft like that is typical of women who were told as little girls that idleness is a sin. I think it... Although... The wooden toothpicks are packed into small paper wrappers. Nothing unusual. I bought it last week at a flea market. I like it because it tells a story. I suppose the previous owner bought himself a newer one. This one still works just fine, though. Butterscotch. I've loved them since I was a child. Their only drawback, they don't play nice with false teeth. Maybe if I just suck it. Who'd have thought that one day butterscotch would remind me of my age and of all the things I had to leave behind? I suppose the steward won't object to me having a look around in his absence. The pad on which the steward writes orders, empty. Maybe he didn't use it because there's not much to do today. The steward probably uses the scissors on hard-to-open packages. These days, nearly everything is sealed up tight. A colleague recently told me about dry powdered soup in small bags. I couldn't believe it. I don't need the pad, but the pencil might come in handy. I'll leave the scissors here. If I need them, I know where to find them. A shortwave radio. It's amazing how small these things have become in the last 10 years. A shortwave radio. I'll leave this at a shortwave. I won't eat any just now. It would be rather embarrassing if I met Legrand and wasn't able to open my mouth because it's been stuck shut, or because I lost some teeth. I won't eat any just... It would be... The steward's pencil. Probably one of the most traveled pencils in the world.
Ah, Mr...
Zellner.
Right, right. How can I help you?
Tell me, did you notice anything suspicious here on the train or in Zurich?
You mean, except for the fact that my suitcase was stolen on the platform? No. Is there any reason to be concerned?
No, just routine.
Constable Zellner, please don't think I'm naive. I spotted the inspector from Interpol. Legarde is his name, if I recall correctly.
Legrand.
If you say so. At the train station in Zurich, he put a cash box into the safe, and then kept close watch as it was loaded onto the train. Don't tell me that a man at his pay grade routinely tramps across the Alps just to keep an eye on cash boxes.
A cash box? Like the ones you'd find in safe deposit boxes?
Precisely. And I believe we both have a good idea just what's inside.
I do indeed have a theory, but what's yours?
A ruby was stolen in London. One of the legendary Eyes of the Sphinx. The second jewel, an emerald, is rumored to be in a Swiss bank vault, if I remember correctly. Both jewels were supposed to be exhibited together in Cairo for the first time in 50 years. It does make one wonder.
Indeed. Any news about the robbery in London?
Quite something, wasn't it? It must have been professionals. The way they disabled one of the best security systems in the world. Most impressive.
People were injured.
Well, one cannot execute a robbery of that scale without collateral damage. It seems like the Raven has finally found a worthy successor. We can look forward to new and spectacular coups.
I'm afraid I won't enjoy his exploits this time around if the new Raven is so reckless.
That's your prerogative.
May I borrow your newspaper?
You can take the section with the article on the burglary. You're interested in that bit, aren't you?
You got me out.
Here you go.
Dankeschön. There's something else. Do you know where the conductor is?
I'd like to know that myself. I told him to search for my missing suitcase in Zurich. He hasn't got back to me yet. He's probably in cahoots with the thieves, and didn't bother getting back on the train. If we don't crack down on vermin like them, the rabble will rule the world one day.
Well, at the moment, we still don't know what really happened.
He is not here doing his job. That's bad enough.
I meant to ask, the Baroness is missing her purse.
A Baroness? This train is really full of the creme de la creme. The Queen of Crime is over there, and now a Baroness as well.
Have you seen the purse?
Unfortunately, no. Do you know Lady Westmacott? You were talking to her.
Well, I'm an admirer of her work.
Like so many others. I once read in the newspaper that only Shakespeare and the Bible sell more copies than her crime novels.
I read that too.
She must be filthy rich. As a doctor, I'd have to work 1,000 years to earn that kind of money.
Auf Wiedersehen, Dr. Gebhardt.
Goodbye, Constable. It was a pleasant chat, really.
I made the acquaintance of Dr. Gebhardt on the platform in Zurich. I'd better let him read his newspaper if I don't have any pressing questions. I'd better let him read his newspaper if I don't have any pressing questions. I made the acquaintance of Dr. Gebhardt on the platform in Zurich. Luna's Drops, the calming herbal liqueur for women. A glass a day. It relaxes the nerves and maintains domestic tranquility. Luna's Drops, if you don't want to bother your husband. Let's see if there's any news. Blah, 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 blah. Eye of the Sphinx. One of two priceless jewels. Extraordinary pure ruby. 2000 BC, etc., etc. Old news. And here, shocking burglary. Professional thieves surprised by museum guard Charles Langley and Constable Robert Oliver of Scotland Yard. Explosion? Not really anything new. One of the two eyes of the Sphinx, a ruby that's nearly 4,000 years old, was stolen from the British Museum. The burglar was surprised, but managed to escape with his loot without being recognized. That's the official story. But it says nothing about Legrand and the second eye. A story about the upcoming Oscars and Cleopatra's chances of winning. An incredible feat. They built the largest movie set of all time in Rome. And because of the main actress's many illnesses, several changes of director and months of delays, cost shot to over $40 million. The most expensive movie ever made. A record never to be broken. John Surtees won the Formula One World Championship for the first time on Saturday. He also won the World Championship in motorcycle racing from 1956 to 1960, making him the only man in motorsports to win world championships in both motorcycle and Formula One events. Not really my cup of tea. Too loud, too fast, too much exhaust. A box with a padlock. I suppose it contains tools for the train's crew, maybe for coupling and uncoupling the cars. At any rate, it's positioned so that it's easier to reach from the ground than from up here. Locked.
Bang, bang! Don't move!
Mad, have you gone mad?
I'll shoot! Hey, my pistol!
You'll get it back in Venice. I could have fallen under the wheels.
I thought you were a ghost.
Ghosts don't exist.
They do too. One just flew past the window.
Yes, sure. Now get moving.
Oh, man.
The ladder leads up to the roof. It will be suicidal to climb up there while the train is at full speed. The wind, tunnels. No, I'll stay down here. The box is secured with a padlock. I won't be able to open it without a key. Matt will get his pistol back in Venice. That and a good dressing down. Matt will get his pistol back in Venice. I strongly suspect that the door is locked. No, it's open. Hello? Wow.
Don't move a muscle, you feathered fiend.
Put the gun down, Robert. If I may introduce Constable Robert Oliver from the Yard. This is the revered Constable Zellner of the Swiss police, who obviously couldn't control his curiosity.
Constable Robert Oliver. Is it possible that I read your name in the newspaper?
Ah, could be, sir. Could very well be.
Robert was there when the first eye of the Sphinx was stolen.
Why were you in the museum? Did you spot something from outside?
Well, sir, I noticed that a door was ajar, which was suspicious, and it was my duty to investigate, sir.
Scotland Yard gave him a commendation and assigned him to me as a liaison.
A great honor, sir.
I hope you'll acknowledge that I, as a Swiss policeman, can undertake investigations in my own country.
Are we still in Switzerland?
I could be your eyes on the train, as long as you're here in the freight car.
Oh, really?
There is a certain Professor Lucien on the train. He's an archaeologist from London.
And what's his story?
Well, it seems someone locked him out of his compartment.
Locked him out?
Well, yes. The door is locked and he's standing outside without a key.
Was it locked from inside?
It may have been. Do you think the locked door could be important?
Professor Lucien plays an important role in this story. Well then, Constable Zellner, be my eyes and ears on the train and see that Professor Lucien gets back into his compartment. Report back to me when you're through.
My pleasure, monsieur. And then there's the Baroness. She's missing her purse.
Baroness von Trevitz. Interesting.
Indeed, sir.
But it has nothing to do with our case.
So I shouldn't concern myself with the matter?
Why not? It's your job as a policeman. But don't expect me to be particularly interested in a lost purse.
You want to set a trap for someone? What do you know of this Raven's heir?
He tried to blow me up.
Robert, we don't know who we're dealing with yet.
In any event, the new Raven is a more dangerous man than the old one.
How do you know it's a man? It could just as easily be a woman.
Or several men.
And anyway, how do you know that it's a new Raven?
Monsieur?
Never mind.
I'll go attend to the door now.
Good. And, Constable Zellner?
Yes?
Don't bother us, unless you have something new to report.
Of course. A thief might get anxious if there's too much activity in the freight car.
Exactement. Knock twice. Then we'll know that it's you.
Understood. An investigation on behalf of Legrand that takes me one step closer. If I can convince him of my competence, I might even be able to see this case through to the end. I bought it last week at a flea market. I suppose the previous owner bought himself a newer one. This one still works just fine, though. Pills for my heart. I'm supposed to take one if I have trouble. My daughter insisted that I take them with me. She was strongly against this little adventure, but I wasn't about to change my mind.
Oh, Constable?
Yes, ma'am.
My son didn't make any trouble for you, I hope. It's just that he just walked past us, silent and seething. That's usually a sign that someone's laid down the law.
I'm afraid so. He played a trick on me, a rather dangerous one. The lad left me no choice but to take away his wooden pistol as a punishment.
I understand. And thank you. Matty is a very lively child. Sometimes he needs a strong fatherly hand.
Where is Matt's father, if I may ask?
He's gone.
Ah, I understand.
Could you, leave Matty's pistol here, perhaps? So you don't have to bother with it?
Of course. I told him he wouldn't get it back until Venice.
Very well. Thank you again, Constable.
Mrs. Miller made a good impression. She wanted to protect, but I think it's uncomfortable. The Baroness seems to have a special personality. I better not bother her until I find her purse. First, I better see about getting the door open, and then have another talk with the professor. It doesn't seem like I'll get anything out of him as long as the door is still locked. I need the right... The bolt is too short. I'm at a loss without a key or... The door, I'm at a loss. Should I ask for an autograph? That would be quite unprofessional. But on the other hand... Hello, Matt. Oh, come on. Are you going to be angry with me for the rest of the trip?
Until I get my pistol back.
I gave it to your mother.
Oh, man. Couldn't you have just raked me over the coals?
Would you have learned anything from that?
I didn't learn anything from this either.
Matt doesn't really seem to be content. Matt doesn't really... Come on, Matt. Did you really think that you can ignore me for longer than I can ignore you? I'm Swiss. It's practically a national sport. Matt is digging in his heels. I won't get anything out of him as long as he's angry with me. Would you like a butterscotch?
You think you can bribe me?
I have no reason to. You made trouble and got punished for it. Take it as a peace offering.
Just 4?
If I'm faster than you, there'll only be 3.
Hey!
Friends again?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. And no dangerous nonsense anymore.
Okay.
Your mother is Lady Westmacott's companion, correct?
Yeah, but it's not like you think. At first I thought, boy, you must be really wicked if you need to pay for friends. But the lady's really okay. A bit odd and really old. But other than that, she's great. She likes me.
The lady has peculiar taste.
Hey!
You and your mother, do you both live on Lady Westmacott's estate?
I'm only there for the holidays. Most of the time I'm at boarding school.
I imagine that's not very pleasant.
No, it's fine. I have friends there. You always have to be so quiet in the lady's house, and I'm not allowed to bring any friends.
Such a big house with so many places to hide, and no one to play hide and seek with.
You said it.
And how long has your mother worked for the lady?
2 years.
And your father? What does he do?
He stayed home. I used to go fishing with him, and hunting. He even let me shoot a real gun.
And then?
Then Mom fought with him, and he left. I was 7.
Oh, and how old are you now?
In 8 months, I'll be 9 years old.
And do you already know what you want to be when you grow up? A burglar?
No, we'll see. Maybe an actor.
Really? Well, I don't know. You need a lot of talent for that. I'm an actor in a theater group, you know?
You are?
Oh, yes. And I'm one of the best in our group, if I may say so. I get really deep into my roles, you know? I don't just talk like the character. I think like him. I become him. It's the only way to... Matt, are you okay?
I think you just have to be good at copying things to be an actor.
That wasn't bad. Disturbing, but not bad. The Baroness in the second compartment over there is missing her purse. Do you have any idea where it could be?
Do I ever?
Hmm?
That guy over there with the violin case?
What about him?
He picked up something in Zurich and put it in his violin case.
Really?
Yeah, and he made sure that nobody saw him.
But you saw him.
Uh-huh.
Did you also see what it was?
Nah, not really. But now that I think of it, it must have been the Baroness's purse.
I should look into it, shouldn't I?
I think so.
Tell me, have you seen the steward anywhere?
Nope. He was walking around a little while ago, though.
Hopefully they didn't forget him in Zurich.
What's he supposed to do?
I'm looking for a key to open a compartment door.
Did you check his things behind the counter?
I'm sure the drawers will be locked.
Can't you break it open? Or pick the lock like the Raven?
Perhaps. But I'd need a piece of wire or something like that.
Ask my mom. She has a lot of hairpins. She doesn't like the wind messing up her hair.
Thanks for the tip. So long.
So longer.
The violin case looks pretty old, but that doesn't say anything about the quality of the violin. The best violins are often in the oldest cases. Excuse me, sir. About the purse.
Ah, yes? Has it been found?
Someone saw you with your violin case on the platform in Zurich.
What's the meaning of this? I didn't steal anything.
Nobody said you did. I just wanted to ask you whether you might have noticed anything on the platform.
Well...
Why did you think I was accusing you?
Well, I thought... because you mentioned my violin case in the context of the purse.
Apropos, may I have a look at your violin? It must be a very extraordinary piece.
Oh, that's not possible. It's a genuine Guarneri.
Very valuable.
Very. And also very sensitive.
What could harm it here? Light? Air? May I ask you to open the violin case?
No, you may not. I'm not guilty of anything.
I'm afraid I have to insist.
Then I'm afraid you need a warrant. I will not stand back and let you rifle through my belongings.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
I think the violinist is hiding something. But to be sure that Matt was right, I have to get a look in the violin case. How can I do that without the violinist's consent? I think the how can I do... The violinist is uncooperative. I'm not authorized to search his belongings against his will and without a good reason, and he knows it. I have to come up with something. I think the violinist is hiding something. But to be sure that Matt was right, I have to get a look in the violin case. How can I... All right, Matt. Tell me now. The violinist won't let me check his violin case.
Of course he won't. He's hiding something. Should I distract him? Then you can have a look in his case.
What do you suggest?
I could tell him there's a suitcase full of money in the next carriage. If he's a thief, he'll definitely want to take a look at it.
I don't think he'll fall for that.
Or I can insult him and then run away. He'll try to catch me, and you'll have a chance to look in that violin case.
Now that I think about it, this is something I have to attend to on my own. It would be expecting a bit much from a little boy.
Little boy? You must be kidding.
Sorry, Sheriff, but your idea about distracting him is good all the same. So long.
So longer.
The kid's not on the warpath anymore. I don't think he'll be causing any more trouble. For the next half hour, anyway. The tip of the toothpick is stuck between the window and the runner.
What are you doing? Didn't I make myself clear? The window stays closed.
Well, that's not what you expect to find in a violin case. An old one, but probably still fully functional. I don't know anything about violins. It may very well be a very expensive violin, or not.
Hey, what are you doing there?
I was taking your case for safekeeping, since it was left here unattended. When I picked it up, the cover unlatched.
I never leave my violin unattended.
Ah, then no one else could have put this purse in your case.
Someone must have snuck it in, like you.
Aha, for sure. And you have a pistol in the case because...
I don't owe you an explanation. It's mine. I have a gun license. Now, take the damned purse to the Baroness and leave me in peace. Just get lost.
It won't be that easy. I'll report the incident to the Italian authorities in Venice. I'll inform the authorities in Venice. They'll decide what to do with him. The kid's not on the warpath anymore. I don't think he'll be causing any more trouble. For the next half hour, anyway. Hey, Matt. The violinist really did steal the purse. Well observed.
I knew it! I bet he's got more stuff planned. I'll stay here and keep an eye on him secretly. Okay?
Sounds like a plan. Should I take a look inside? It would be a breach of trust. On the other hand, there might be important clues to be found. Banknotes. British pounds, French francs, Italian lira, much more than most would carry with them, but probably suitable for a wealthy lady like the Baroness. And here? A picture. A family in a garden. From the light clothing of the people in the picture and the strong shadows, I'd say the picture was taken on a sunny day. Tough to read. It's old-fashioned German. I learned it in school, but I'm a bit out of practice. I've been writing with the Latin-style script for 10 years now, like everyone else. Seems like it says, "For my dear little sister Meta, summer in Masuria, 1926. The Baroness must have been a young woman in 1926. She probably spent the summer holidays with her family there. Pleasant memories carried in a picture, but it's none of my business. I should give the Baroness her property back." There's nothing of interest to me or to Inspector Legrand in the purse. I should give it back to the Baroness.
Oh, Inspector, did you find the Baroness's purse?
I did indeed.
You did? Out of my way, James. Oh, wunderbar. Tremendous work, Inspector.
Constable, Baroness. Constable Anton Jakob Zellner, at your service. May I ask you where this beautiful train is taking you?
To the madhouse, I'm afraid. One is close to the brink of insanity with this constant shaking and rattling.
Have you ever tried flying, Baroness?
Do you know how little luggage one is permitted upon an aeroplane? It defies all reason and good taste.
Have you heard about the burglary at the British Museum?
Heard about it? I'm directly affected by it.
How so?
I'm in charge of the Friends of the British Museum. And for your information, I'm financing the exhibition.
Exhibition? What exhibition?
The exhibition in Cairo. Where did you think we were going? The eyes of the Sphinx were supposed to be exhibited together for the first time in decades. Now that one of them is gone, the exhibition will be rather less sensational than we'd hoped.
On the other hand, there's a chance that all the uproar will generate more attention, and that the exhibition will still be a great success.
Oh, perhaps. But we wanted to show them both together. That was the whole point.
Can you tell me anything about your fellow passengers, Baroness?
No, not really. I could hardly care who's penned up in here with me. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Lucien is here, the professor. Poor fellow. The eye of the Sphinx that was stolen belonged to his collection.
Professor Lucien is an Egyptologist.
But of course. As director of the Egyptian department of the British Museum, he has to be. The whole burglary thing really upset him. Director Thomas told me he was a nervous wreck.
I'll take my leave of you now, Baroness, and I do hope your journey becomes more bearable.
Ha! Yes, indeed, Inspector.
Constable. James? I don't think the Baroness has any more information for me. And she's not the most pleasant conversationalist either. First, I better see if it doesn't seem like I'll get anything out of it. He doesn't make a very... and he of all... Mrs. Miller?
Yes?
Please excuse my unusual request, but Matt said you have some hairpins. Could I borrow one?
One of my hairpins?
It's a long story. It would be a big help.
Well, if you really need one.
Go ahead, Mary. The constable won't do it any harm. Will you, Mr. Zellner?
Of course not, madam.
Is this one okay?
It'll do nicely, madam. How very kind of you. Goodbye, Mrs. Miller.
Goodbye, Constable.
I don't want to imply that I'm an expert, but I think that this could pick a normal lock. I need a bit of wire or something. But as long as he's not around, he won't be upset if I take a look. And suddenly, it's me who's the thief on the train. Whoops, that was easier than expected. Batteries, a toothbrush, shaving brush, but not the key to the compartment door. Just this one. Too small for the door, but it might still be useful. I don't want to imply that I'm an expert. A key to a padlock, I'm sure of that. It's not the first time I've held one. Thank you for your hairpin, Mrs. Miller. It really got me out of a jam.
Oh, really? That's good to hear. And thank you for bringing it back to me. Not everybody would have.
I'm a Swiss policeman, madam. I couldn't do otherwise even if I tried. I'd better let him read his newspaper if I don't. I made the acquaintance of Dr. Geb. That's it. There we go. This should help. I have everything I need. My grandfather was a blacksmith. When I was a child, I used to play with tongs and hammers in his workshop. My mother never cared for that. She was always worried about my little fingers, but I never hurt myself seriously. I'm quite clever with tools. Inspector Legrand?
Anything to report?
Baroness von Trebitz told me about her missing purse.
Baroness von Trebitz. She is financing everything, isn't she?
Indeed, sir.
I found the purse. David Kreutzer, a violinist from Austria, had it.
Probably nothing to do with our case. All the same, good work.
I'll get back to work now.
Good.
The butler, this James, seems to have escaped the Baroness. Good day to you, sir.
Can I be of any assistance, sir?
I wanted to ask you a few questions. Where did you and the Baroness board the train?
In Paris, sir. The Baroness was there on behalf of a charity that she supported for many years.
So you weren't in London when they broke into the British Museum?
We may have been, actually. We left for Dover bright and early the morning after the burglary. But it was in Paris when we first heard of it. The morning paper in London didn't mention the unfortunate event, sir.
And just 2 days later, you're on a train bound for Switzerland. The Baroness certainly gets around.
Indeed, sir. We are practically always on the go.
What can you tell me about the Baroness?
Nothing, sir. A butler does not tattle.
If you'll pardon a rather odd question, are you really named James? That would be a lucky coincidence in your line of work.
My name, sir, is Clive Alfred Inch.
Your second name is Alfred, yet the Baroness calls you James.
Madam considers James to be the only forename suited to a butler, sir.
Isn't butler an odd choice of career? Butler. Many would say it's a strange job.
It is true that I am one of a dying breed, sir. The war claimed a generation of butlers.
Have you been to war as well?
Indeed, sir. I was a groom for a cavalry officer.
When you British talk about war, one is never sure which war you mean. It seems the situation hasn't changed much since the 30 Years' War, has it?
Shrapnel from a bomb dropped by a Fokker would not have wounded me in the 30 Years' War, sir.
No, of course not. Goodbye, James. Or Alfred. The butler, this James, seems to have escaped the Baroness. I don't think he can tell me anything more of interest. The bolt is too short, but it should... I bet I could really get a grip on the bolt with these.
Well, come on then, hurry up.
Hello?
I barely left the window ajar.
Nothing to see.
Ah.
Are you okay?
Yes, fine.
Do you have any idea why the door was locked?
I don't know. Maybe the constant vibrations caused the lock to lock itself.
You can't possibly believe that.
Well, then what's your theory?
The conductor could have locked it from the outside. On the other hand, it could have been someone here in the compartment who locked the door from the inside.
Who? And where have they gone?
They could have climbed out there.
Who would be that insane?
You tell me, Professor. So, what are you hiding in your bag? What do you have that would be worth stealing?
No, nothing.
No valuables?
Certainly not. Not on my salary.
It was enough for a first-class compartment on a luxury train.
That's my business.
You're playing a dangerous game, Professor Lucien. I believe you and the inspector do know each other.
What makes you think that?
It seems like the two of you are running a haulage company specializing in safes.
I won't comment on that. It's a matter of international importance.
Tell me, Professor, would you happen to have a key in your briefcase? And if so, would it still happen to be there?
Then all would be as it should.
That's what we hope, at least. All the same, it would have been a simple matter for a thief to make an impression of it. Right, Professor?
Oh.
And the break-in? It wasn't an issue for you? Even though you're the head of the department where it occurred?
All right. The burglary was most upsetting. And shocking. And I didn't know what to do, okay?
And you couldn't just tell me that.
The fewer people who know about it, the better. I can't trust anyone.
You're not only going to Venice, are you? Could it be that your journey will continue? All the way to Egypt, perhaps? I'm on your side, but the more you lie to me, the more difficult you make my job. I'd like to look around a bit.
Of course.
Assuming there really was someone in the compartment, and he climbed out the window, where's he gone? Did the burglar leave any clues? Here's something. Might be fingerprints. They're tough to make out, but I do believe there are some prints on the window. If I had a forensics kit, I could make the prints visible with carbon powder. He's hiding something from me, and I have to find out what it is. Professor Lucien?
Yes?
Oh, no.
Well...
They're tough to make out, but I do believe there are some prints on the window. If I had a forensics kit, I could make the prints visible with carbon powder. I really wonder what the professor is hiding from me. But I can't just rifle through the luggage of innocent citizens. This is the 60s. Wow. A very nice fountain pen. Pricey.
If you'd managed to decode hieroglyphics that boggled the best minds of the last 3,000 years, you'd have received a gift like that as well.
The Bible, Grimm's fairy tales, Moby Dick, and gin, whiskey, and rum. All classics. No, nothing interesting. What's this?
What do you have there?
It's a button. From a suit or a uniform, I guess.
The burglar might have lost it.
Maybe, or maybe not. If I notice anyone with a missing button on his jacket, I'll ask him about it. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. If there was a burglar, he climbed out the window and jumped off the train. I found the button in front of the window in the archaeologist's compartment. The burglar might have lost it while climbing out the window, but there's no proof for my theory. Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye.
Professor Lucien is back in his compartment. I doubt he'll be leaving it anytime soon. Professor Lucien?
Door is open. How can I help you, Constable Zellner?
I'd like to have a look around the compartment.
Oh,
He's hiding something from me, and I have to find out what it is. tough to make out, but I do believe there are some prints on the window. If I had a forensics kit, I could make the prints visible with carving powder. He's hiding something from me, and I have to find out what it is. Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye.
Hey, Matt. The violinist really did...
I knew it. I'll stay...
Some... The kid's not for the next... The butler, this Jane. I don't think he...
Pardon me, sir.
We could have used you a few minutes ago. Lady Westmacott.
Yes?
I was wondering if you might...
Sign your book, Constable Zellner?
If it isn't too much of an inconvenience.
Of course it's an inconvenience, but only a small one. You are welcome.
Thank you so very much. For brave Constable Anton Jacob Zellner, whose time shall surely come, Clarissa Westmacott, DBE. There are thousands of things I would like to ask her, but nothing would justify neglecting my duties here on the train. I'd better let him read his newspaper if I don't have any pressing questions. I'll leave the... I think it's... Although... I'd better let him read his newspaper if I don't have any pressing... Inspector Legrand?
Anything to report?
I got Professor Lucien into his compartment using a pair of pliers.
Did you notice anything inside the compartment?
The window was open. Someone could have climbed out.
And the professor?
Acted suspiciously. He rummaged around in his leather bag.
And?
He seemed to have found what he was searching for.
Good. Good work.
Now, perhaps you could give me some information.
All right. We should...
What? The light's gone out!
Flashlights! Ah! Get off me!
There, sir! An envelope!
My dear Nico, you should take a closer look at the box. R.
What the dickens? It's a...
Away with it! Take cover!
Oh, dear. Oh. Is everyone all right? Are you hurt? Quick thinking. Well done, Zellner.
I think the tunnel collapsed.
Then he's trapped. Hurry, we have to lock the second exit.
Sir, there's a fire up ahead. The engine's burning.
It's a distraction. Hurry, block the exit.
But, sir...
The fire will consume all the oxygen.
He's right, Inspector. A fire in a narrow tunnel is extremely dangerous.
Merde! Go to the front of the train, find the engineer, and tell him to move the train out of the tunnel.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready? You have to uncouple the freight car. You understand?
I understand.
I'll see to the passengers. They should all wait in the tunnel. We'll check each one in turn as they go out.
Let's get to it. A lot was damaged by the sudden stop, but the bowl was thick enough to survive the fall. My God, what a fire. I hope Constable Oliver can at least reach the engine. The last of the candy has vanished. Measured against the exploding freight car, I think the railway will overlook the loss. The last of whiskey, scotch, rum, liqueurs, enough to entertain everyone on the train all the way from Paris to Istanbul. Carling Black Label, a British beer. No good. Insufficient alcohol content. For practical purposes, I mean, not for drinking. Champagne, the finest. Maybe we'll open a bottle if we get out of the tunnel alive. Until then, though, it's no use to me. High-proof rum. Could be useful.
Pardon me. I did not mean to scare you.
What are you doing here, Doctor?
Legrand asked me to check whether there are any passengers left on the train.
Really? No one is here, except for me and you.
Excellent. Then I will continue searching at the front.
How are the passengers?
They are in a state of shock, of course. The blackout and the sudden stop were frightening enough, but then the explosion, the dust, everyone rushed for the exits. I was helping the American woman bring Lady Westmacott to safety. They are waiting outside in the tunnel. One entrance is blocked by a fire, and the other one seems to have collapsed.
Did anyone act suspiciously before the explosion? Did anyone leave their seat, for example?
I was the only one on the train who wasn't seated when the freight car exploded. Thank God. Otherwise, I would have been caught by the blast as well.
You certainly were lucky.
Perhaps I was. What happened over there? The inspector said something about gas canisters that exploded.
He didn't want to scare you. The truth is, it was a bomb meant to kill him and the Bobby.
My God. An attack? But who would...
The investigations are ongoing, but first we have to get the burning train out of the tunnel.
Oh, of course.
Continue to search the train. I'll decouple the buried freight car.
All right.
Doctor? Can you give me a few matches?
Oh, certainly.
Thanks. I'll meet you outside.
Do hurry.
A fine, but rather heavy curtain. The surface shimmers and feels smooth. Probably doesn't burn easily, like the tablecloths. Safety regulations require it, which, given the present situation, is actually a good thing. I don't see Legrand or the constable, but I can make out the silhouettes of some of the passengers. They seem to be unscathed. All the same, the fire is getting bigger, and I don't have much time. The chair either fell over thanks to the sudden stop, or an escaping passenger knocked it over. Wanting to get off the train as quickly as possible after a sudden stop and a massive tremor, that's understandable. I noticed the extinguisher earlier. Doesn't match the decor. I suppose that the railway company had to comply with safety regulations at the cost of aesthetics. I noticed the extinguisher. It'd be useless against the fire out there, and it's too cumbersome to carry around. At best, I can use it here. All right, let's go. Rum from Austria. Believe it or not, it's 80% alcohol by volume. There's no way anyone would drink it straight. I filled the bowl about a third of the way with rum. Phew, strong stuff. I filled the bowl. Phew, strong stuff. That should do it. The material won't be able to soak up any more alcohol. The alcohol burns with a dim blue flame. It doesn't shed enough light and will probably burn out in a few seconds. Won't solve my lack of light. I'll have to try something else. That should do it. The material won't be able to soak up any more alcohol. The curtain is wrapped around the wood and doused in alcohol. I should be able to light the torch whenever I want. I expect the rum will burn like ethanol, but I better not test that theory in the bottle. The curtain is wrapped. The alcohol burns with a dim blue flame. It doesn't shed enough light and will probably burn out in a few seconds. Won't solve my lack of light. I'll have to try something else. That should do it. Can't really say the fabric was eager to soak up the rum. I, on the other hand, soaked up enough in my fingers to smell like a drunk. A fine, but rather heavy curtain. The surface shimmers and feels smooth. Probably doesn't burn easily, like the tablecloths. Safety regulations require it, which, given the present situation, is actually a good thing. That'll get me something like a Molotov cocktail. I want light, but I don't want it to come from a wall of flames. Just as I expected, the alcohol burns with an almost invisible flame. The alcohol on the curtain burns just as darkly as in the bowl. It's no help. The flame is hot, but it's no use as a light source. Some matches, and half of